In part 1 of this video, I disassembled the rear bucket seats, then stripped and painted the seat bottom frames. Here in part 2, I'll rebuild the seats and reinstall them in the car. Here's the original burlap that came with the car seats. It has an interesting construction. There are these metal wires that run through the burlap, and they attach on the ends to this hemmed up burlap, and the wire is looped around that hem, but the wire's not attached to the main burlap except for where it's threaded through. And so of course this listing is meant to keep these wires aligned and prevent them from poking out through the vinyl. They can't migrate out either way. And the purpose of these wires is to distribute the pressure or the weight across these springs underneath. That way you can't put all the weight, let's say, on one spring. These wires will force that weight to get shared across the neighboring springs. So I want to keep these wires, but I can't find replacements this size. I saw some on eBay. They were not the right dimensions, and this burlap is not in terrible shape. So I really would like to preserve it if possible, and I want to keep it with the car so that maybe the next time someone wants to rehab these seats, they have all the original stuff. So what I'm going to actually do is use new burlap in addition to this stuff. It doesn't stink or anything, but just to make sure it's clean, I went ahead yesterday and sprayed it with some of this Nature's Miracle, which has enzymes in it that will break down any organic matter that might be in there. The only place where I think that could be the case, potentially, is in this corner that the mice got to. But I went ahead and sprayed the whole thing on both of them. Like I did in part 1, I'll show you each step only once, even though I had to do it twice, once for each of the rear bucket seats. The new burlap gets one hog ring in the middle of each of the 4 sides. Here I'm taking the slack out. I don't want it to be under strain. By the way, you might have noticed I didn't put this little tag back underneath the passenger side seat frame, and I didn't put this paper back under the driver's side. Reason being that this is really brittle. I figured if I put it back in there, it would just disintegrate, and the loop on this tab is broken. So I'm going to put these in the file to go along with the car when it comes time to sell it. And that way the new owner will have all this stuff and they can decide what to do with it. I'm going to replace this original felt, I guess it's called. I couldn't find anything online that was a really good replacement for this. I'm sure I'm just looking in the wrong places. But this white felt is good stuff. It's a little thinner, so I'll have to double it up, but it'll be just as good as the original stuff. I measured out several 4-inch wide strips. After cutting them, I doubled them over and trimmed them to length. choice. Just about ready to do the cushions. That'll be next. The seat bottom foam has the foam itself plus a bunch of this muslin glued onto it, which is what attaches the foam to the seat frame. And there's even a little bit of like cheesecloth fabric up here. Now, the way that it goes together, surprisingly, is you start with a flat 1-inch thick piece of foam. It's not actually molded. It's only folded. So I'll show you how it goes. And I think it really should be sitting a little bit off center because these rails that run along the side are kind of like where the foam butts up on the sides. The back just kind of presses up against the rear part of the frame. But it gets interesting at the top, or the front, I guess is more accurate. The leading edge is folded over onto the side pieces, sort of like that. And that's how you get that contoured shape. I bought some cushion foam, 1-inch thick, and it's just a little bit narrow. Let's see if we can make this work. One option would be to place it this way. And that would give me, actually that's not a bad idea. That gives me a 5-inch gap that I could patch at the back of the seat. This will partly be covered by the seat back, so there won't be strain on it. I cut out 2 big rectangles, 24 by 26.5 inches. Then I cut 4 small rectangles 5 inches wide from the remaining foam. These 5-inch rectangles plus the 24-inch wide big rectangles will give me the 29 inches I need. These are all the bits of muslin and cheesecloth that I took off of the first cushion. So I'll give you some dimensions. When I measured out the cheesecloth that goes on the leading edge of the cushion, it was 27 inches by 16, so I cut out some fresh ones for that. I went and bought some muslin. I bought a couple yards of this just to make sure I had enough. So off camera, I cut 4 side pieces, 28 by 6 inches. I cut 2 back pieces, so this is not the seat back, but it's the back edge of the seat bottom, and I rounded up to 34, and I added 5 inches for the patching that I'm going to be doing on that cushion. That left me with 9 inches width by 34, and then I also cut 2 front, leading edge pieces for the seat bottom, 31 inches by 6. These pieces are going to get glued on using an adhesive. This is what I have on hand. I have some other adhesives as well, but I think this is probably going to be the best one. Okay. This stuff, here it goes. So let's do the same thing as before. 2-inch gap on 3 sides. This is pretty straight here. They cut some, not much, there we go. I'm trying to get a lot bigger than, and we close it even. That's how I operate. Okay, not too bad. Now with the muslin glued on, the foam can be attached to the seat frame. First one. It's an easy turn. Tight this hole here. Full sorry, go back. This way. Take the hole. Third one. Chain skate. Round hole. Frame. See the hole. Right there. This wasn't where it drags. Not so hard on the camera, but just a little hard. Okay. Now, there's still one more piece of fabric. This cheesecloth kind of muslin. And I think just a little bit of glue should do the trick. Let's look at our sample. The cheesecloth is loose, except on the edges. We can do a similar thing. Shoot some glue along here and on the sides. Totally sure why this bubble is on here. The cheesecloth is on here. I don't know what else is on here. Okay, ta-da! The next step will be to put the seat covers on. So I've been comparing the old seat cover to the new seat cover, and this looks like a really good reproduction. Everything's very similar to the original. On the old one, there's a metal rod that runs through this pocket on the back of the seat, and there's no such wire on the new one. Plus, this little pocket is sewn shut at both ends. So what I think I'll do is pull this wire out, clean it up, make a slit on this pocket, and slide it in there. Haha, easy peasy. It looks good. It's just got a little rust on each end. I'll clean that up real quick. I think to get this rust off, I'll just use my go-to red 3M and steel wool. go. Just gonna check our length. There we go. I neglected to notice that there was a second steel rod hiding in the old seat cover. More on that in 2 minutes. So the next step will be to put this cover on the cushion. I think I should flip this around first. Hopefully I can just slide this in. Seems about right. I'm gonna use this as a reference, but it looks like we just gotta start up front and work our way towards the back, I guess. Actually, I missed a step and didn't notice until after I had installed the hog rings. I filmed this next bit a day later, but I'll squeeze it in here to show you the installation steps in the proper sequence. Oh, they have a steel rod in there. But it's rusty, so I'm going to clean this guy off. Okay, that looks pretty clean. Now, where's my cut? Let's say it's, about 1.5 inches in from this seam. Looks like I need a cut right about there, which is similar to what they had at the factory. Go. Now I might as well clip this wire now down to the rod. I'll start way over here. What I'm trying to do is get the hem right up against the rod on the seat frame, and hook my hog ring around both, like that, right about here. This part's a little easier. Don't have to fight the fabric or anything. Oh, I see, the metal rod. So the metal rod, see, it's running along horizontal and then it goes up. So there's nothing over here to hook onto. So it looks like I'm just gonna get these 3 hog rings on there. Okay, good enough. Now we can add hog rings to the outer edge of the seat cover. More goes down here where we already have a hog ring from the cushion. I'll try to bring it all over like that, because that's how the original was done. It's a good idea to flip the seat over periodically and check the alignment of the seat cover before you get all the hog rings installed. It's got two hog rings. Where's those down? Let's get one right here. One after bend. Okay, there's one more. Maybe down here. Gotcha. Looking good. After that, go. Keep this bent, pull it out. More hidden. Now that the vinyl seat cover is securely in place, we can poke a hole for the speed nut. There's a little speed nut clipped onto the frame right there. The threads on that speed nut have to be pointing back. If you get the clip flipped around so that the threads are pointing towards the front, you will probably not be able to get your screw threaded on. Yeah, there we go. Now this is ready to go in the car. That's it. I think that looks pretty good. This padding is from one of the seat backs. After inspecting it, I determined that it did not need to be replaced. This fabric, there's not really a foam in here, it's some kind of a padding, is hog ringed onto the frame. And I cut the old hog rings, and I'm just going to replace them. All they do is bite into the fabric, the burlap on this cushion. The hog rings don't do a lot to hold the cushion on. I think the cushion just gets tucked in around the frame. Mostly that's what keeps it in place. But I want to put it back to original, so I'm replacing each of the hog rings that I removed. There weren't that many. So you got 3 along the top. I'm pretty sure there were 3 on the bottom and then 1 on each side. I'll stick one towards the corner. With the cushion hog ringed on, then these sides and top and bottom can get tucked in. And that's really all that was holding this together, was, determining its shape was just the way it was folded in like this. There wasn't any glue that I could tell anywhere on here. Good enough. If you look at these 2 bottom seams, this one's basically straight, all the way from top to bottom. The one that's on the inboard side of the seat, towards the console, this seam swoops in. On the seat back, each metal tab has to poke through the vinyl before being bent down. Tabs are probably sharper originally. I used a needle nose pliers to push the vinyl down on both sides of the tab simultaneously. Real nice. And this point, it is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 5. The next step is to cut holes in the vinyl. We'll see. Let's see. Yeah, that works. Then we have 3 giggles. This one. Nice. There's a hole. Now the carpet insert and trim pieces can be reinstalled. I use an ice pick to align the holes before attempting to insert a screw. Be careful not to over-tighten these trim screws. Their holes aren't round, they're actually slots, so they strip easily. Now we can put this plate on, and it has the carriage bolt and washer that go behind the plate. Both of them do. And this plate, when you put it on the side of the seat, it doesn't want to lie flat like it ultimately should be, because there's a bulge here on the cushion sticking out, which sort of interferes with the position of this plate. So what I do is get these 2 big screws threaded, just started. And then I go back and forth, give them each a couple, 3 twists until that plate seats where it's going to seat. And that looks like about it. Then we can do a rod. Put my little white thing on yet. It still has a flange, part of it. So let me get that started. Still okay over there. Yeah, it's fighting me a little bit because I just made an ice pick size hole. This white piece can go on. There's an 11/32 deep well socket. Oh yeah, we're getting close. I can see it. That might be adequate. We'll find out. Got my shear pin. And then my finishing nail. That looks pretty darn good. The pin is half in on each side. This guy's pointing back and the handle points back towards the carpeted side. Okay, that's it. This is ready to go back in the car. In part 3 of this video, I'll reinstall the rear bucket seats back in the car. Thanks for watching.